All right, everybody get the handout? All right, so why do we want to focus on selling some flatware? Because it's easy. You're going to notice that theme a lot in my talk here, how easy this is. Those of you that feel like you're pretty good at selling flatware, how long does it take you to sell flatware? How much? How long? 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? This is, I use the phrase, you probably heard me say this before, brain surgeon pay. There's areas of our business that you want to focus in on that are brain surgeon pay. That's where you're getting paid $500 for 2 minutes, $600 for 2-3 minutes of your time. And flatware is one of those areas of the business. So become a master. So that's the first one there, easy brain surgeon pay. Second one is more flatware sales equals more Cutco kitchen sales, right? There's three aspects to that. How many of you feel like you're pretty good at selling knives? If you're in this room, I'd imagine that answer is yes, right? So flatware, there you go. That's the easier one to become a master of. And then Seth's going to clean house here with an awesome talk on cookware. So you guys are going to have all the puzzle pieces to become kitchen masters. Third thing is that it's great CPO for you. In other words, the CPO content that we get out of that sale, right? Think about that. If you take $159, multiply it by 12, that adds up to $1908. Normally it would cost $1,908 to sell 12 placements of flatware. But the company doesn't have any other product where they package something like that and price it at $13.99, and we still get $12.66 CPO from that. That's incredible, right? The company's kind of taking the hit, if you will, for us. So it's amazing CPO for you. It's an easy, big sale for people that are done with knives, right? They don't want any more knives. They don't want any cookware. This is still one of the big ticket items, and it's so easy. And the last one is that it's easy to significantly increase or even double your average order at the booth by becoming a flatware master. All right. So the basics, have it, show it, love it. First one there, your chest is one of the sexiest Cutco assets that you have. So show it off. All right. So you want to keep your chest looking glorious and full. All right. So let's talk about keeping your chest looking glorious. Those chests, they get pretty dusty and dirty, right? So is anybody anal as me that you get a piece of tape and actually go through your chest? Nice. Look at all the top reps are raising their hand. Love it. Yeah, I'll take a piece of tape, sometimes every other day, and I'll go through and tape the entire thing and get every speck of dust out so it's a beautiful deep black, right? Now, a little ghetto trick, if you've chipped up your little box, red pen, right? It blends really well. In fact, what I did is I got my kids' arsenal of art supplies out and found the exact pencil that matched the color of the box, and that stays in my Fair and Show kit now, right? To do little touch-ups on the outside. But don't keep that ghetto box once it is ghetto. I was, moving out, held my full cart of stuff one time, and the entire chest fell off. Pieces got scratched up. The box got scratched up. And so for $59, you can buy another box. Now, if you show a ghetto box, a ghetto chest, and you miss one sale, how much did you just cost yourself, right? So invest that $59 every 3 months if you have to buy a new chest. And I'm going to give you a little tip on what to do with your old ones. But keep it looking glorious. All right, next one there. Pack your chest tightly because you don't want your chest bouncing. What? Yeah, so when you're moving that thing around, right, you want to make sure everything is packed nice and tightly because even just the flatware against the flatware, if it's vibrating like crazy, and especially those of you that are traveling for shows and getting on airplanes and stuff, even that can scratch up the pieces within there, right? So you want to keep it nice and tight. So the inserts that he sells back there, get those if you don't have it. Jacob Gordon. Sorry, I was fishing for the name. And I think he's gone for the event already, but his contact info is in that sheet, in the folder you got at check-in. So if you don't have one of those, buy one of those. It helps the back of it stay up, and it helps everything stay nice and tight when you're actually moving and shipping stuff. But if you don't, in the meantime, put stuff in there when you pack it away. Like I have an American flag, a full-size American flag that I use in certain display scenarios. And so I actually fold that up into the triangle, and I put that in there. I put my accessory pieces in an old roll-up red felt, and I pack that in there. I pack it so tight that nothing can move. And then on the outside, I've got actual like shipping, moving, packing stuff that it goes into every single time. So it keeps it looking nice, right? This is such an important part of your business that makes you so much money in such an easy amount of time that you're really missing the boat if you're not keeping it looking as sexy as it can be. Take that thing to the gym. All right. So how you display your chest will determine how many people are interested in your chest. What? So make sure you're having a really nice presentation for your chest. It's made in America, and I think we should really highlight that, right? So you can start by just doing something like getting Made in America stickers or little Made in America sign you can get on Amazon. You can print something out, laminate that, tape that up in the corner of it. But to really like class it up, you can also like get things like American printed stuff like a handkerchief and put it in there, or like American ribbon and wrap that around. You guys have probably seen lots of different display ideas, and just use American theme display stuff for that chest and deck it out that way. Have it look really nice. Also, elevation is important. Things that are elevated, people subconsciously regard higher. So elevate your chest. A lot of people are using those three-tiered racks to elevate a lot of the stuff in your sample kit, and that's awesome. Definitely do that. Um, I'll say the other thing in a second here, but last one is make sure that you keep your chest on point. In other words, keep your double the edges sharp. So we had I did not make that one up. You guys know that's what it's called, right? All right. Keep your double D sharp. I was going to print that out, but I thought that was too much. So keep them sharp because we actually had a chest once that we didn't I didn't realize that whoever brought that chest in and it was on display, the knives were totally dull. It was actually a set that they were using at home and they brought in for the show. And so I had a customer there, and yeah, they're just as sharp. Here, try this out, right? And I had him do a steak knife, and then I had him use that, and it's all right. And I clearly did not get that sale. And just that one sale cost me over $600 losing that, right? So if you have to buy a whole new set because your stainless steel knives are scratched up, buy a whole new set at a third or CSP credit or whatever, because it's worth that investment. Because if you miss one sale, you're kicking yourself in the foot. All right, bonus tip. Kicking yourself in the foot, that didn't really make sense. Anyways, bonus tip here. What to do with the old chests. Use that to elevate your other chests. And even if you have some sort of rack system that you elevate on, stack up at least two chests. So have one closed chest underneath and then an open chest on top of that. And that does a couple things. The first thing that people do as you draw their attention to it, or sometimes they just walk over and do this themselves, is they go to pull the knob on the bottom one, right? Because they think it's a drawer when it looks like that. and I always mess with them, right? Oh, it's one of those Chinese boxes. You got to figure out how to open it, right? And then I go, no, actually, I just have that out because we actually have a lot of people get like 2 of these sets or 3 of the sets. And so we have specials on that. And I just plant that seed, and it always comes up right at the very beginning. And so now you're planting seeds to sell 24 place settings and 36 place settings. All right, bonus. All right, how? Show it to everybody, and plant the seed early. So if you heard me speak at all in the last 14 months or so, I say this in every single message I've given whoever I'm talking to. I have a vision of us rebranding our company that we are the premier kitchen company, not just the world's finest cutlery. And I think it's going to take us years to get to that point. But when we are the #1 cookware company and we are the #1 flatware company, we can legitimately say that across the board. So what we can legitimately say is that we are known now as the premier kitchen company, right? So however you do your introduction, the first 20, 30 seconds that you're working with a customer, Mrs. Jones Cutco's been around since the 1940s, #1 selling knife for decades. Everything we make is American made, guaranteed forever. And we started out as a knife company, but now we're really known as the premier kitchen company because we have an amazing, beautiful line of flatware. We have a line of the healthiest cookware you'll ever see also. And all of that happens in that very first 20 seconds that you're talking to somebody. You just planted a seed for a kitchen, a Cutco kitchen, all right? So shift your thinking in how you're presenting Cutco to people. Are you presenting, like, if the conversation stopped there, would your client think that you're working for a knife company or a kitchen company? Like, think about what you're actually doing and change whatever you're doing to have them think he's working for a kitchen company, right? Because that's what you want to sell. So at the beginning, when you are talking to somebody, you can kind of just give like a 30-second teaser on the flatware, get the highlights out there, ask a trial question. So you want to ask a lot of questions along the way, starting with some sort of an attention grabber. And I just wrote these out for you. Figured that was the easiest way here for you to get them all down. But most of the married couples I talk to have mix and match set that they're embarrassed to entertain with. Do you have the mix and match set that everybody has at home? Right. And so a lot of people I know are asking the question, but I like planting that first sentence in there because it pre-frames it and subconsciously kind of already, you planted the seed that they're embarrassed to entertain with that, right? And whether you think so or not, that does have a subconscious effect. Next one there. In the next few years, do you ever see yourself adding to or replacing your set of flatware? And then a lot of people stop there. Next question, why? And now they tell you exactly what the key points are, how to sell them flatware. And you dig in, right? All right, so some of this stuff here, I mean, most of this you probably know these points here, but we'll go through them just to make sure that you're covering all of these. So what you want to do is you want to find a way to cover these next points here in about 60 seconds, and I'll show you how to do that. So biggest challenges of common flatware, there's cheap quality, they're foreign made with inferior materials. People that already have good stuff have to polish it because good stuff usually means the gold or silver. It tarnishes. So every time they use it. Most flatware is either too light or too heavy. The tines are too wide, they're too narrow on the forks. The spoon itself is either too big, too small. These are the common things that you can kind of point out to customers. All flatware comes with butter knives, not actual steak knives. So if you're investing in a nice set of silverware, then you're going to also have to invest in a nice set of steak knives, Mrs. Jones, which is going to cost you another $500 to $1,000. Right? And it's important to say it that way, right? Throw out that number, which is going to cost you another $500 to $1,000, because now you've already kind of set a little price point in their head, right? Because that's just for 12 steak knives. What's it going to cost for the other, 48 pieces of flatware? Garbage disposal, rock hard ice cream, right? The spoon bending, the spoon getting chunked up, and tell stories. Stories are really what sells, right? So, Mrs. Jones, have you ever lost a spoon down the garbage disposal, right? And then you get that snag lip spoon that nobody wants because you go to bite it and it cuts your lip, right? And I go through the little story right there because they're like, oh yeah, right? And they can identify, they can picture that struggle in their mind. And then flatware companies constantly change and discontinue designs, so there's an inability to replace the lost pieces over the years. And then people have to invest in a whole new set of cutlery where really all they need is those few pieces to complete that set out again, right? And it's impossible to do. All right, so now we're going to show them how Cutco solves these problems. So 1810, don't need to talk much about that, but Mrs. Jones, 1810, 18% chrome, 10% nickel. You guys know all this stuff. But the important thing is not the 18, the 10, the chrome, the nickel. The important thing is what that means for you, Mrs. Jones, and that's how I say it, right? 1810, 18% chrome, 10% nickel. All that means for you, Mrs. Jones, is that you can throw this in the dishwasher every day, and 30 years from now, it's going to look like this. In fact, beyond that, when your great grandkids are using this, it's going to look like this. Okay, and you've just planted a whole bunch of other seeds right there. Okay, they're perfect, and so you're going to pre-frame this before you actually hand it over. And this is kind of the order that I go through with the customer, the way I have it listed here. But Mrs. Jones, they're perfect. What you'll find is that they're not too heavy, they're not too light. The tines are not too big, they're not too small. They're kind of perfectly balanced, and that's when you hand it to them first. Right? See how that fits right in your hand, Mrs. Jones? Another fun fact, the tablespoon is literally a tablespoon. The teaspoon is literally a teaspoon, measurement-wise, right? Table knives. Mrs. Jones, being a knife nerd, I'd be, remiss not to tell you about the table knives. So these are not butter knives, and this is a great place to cut some leather again, because maybe you did it with a steak knife before. I cut leather with a steak knife now because that's what I want to sell with my sets, even if I'm selling a homemaker. So this is like the first time I usually have them cut with a table knife. And so do that whole thing right there again. The forever guarantee, really don't need to get into that, but I guess kind of tell you more just about the story. So here's now where you're going to really paint those pictures of you're buying a product, Mrs. Jones, that your great-great-grandkids are going to set their table with, right? So, and I'll paint that picture. Mrs. Jones, this is a legacy item. It's not just for you, it's for your kids and their kids. And so 40, 50 years from now, when that spoon goes down the garbage disposal, guess what they'll be able to do? Send it back to the factory, get a brand new one. And the Cutco consistency, and what that's talking about is that we don't change our design. And the reason that our design is kind of simple elegance is what I call it, is that you can dress it up and you can dress it down. This looks really nice on your fanciest dinner table, but also is great in the backyard all summer long, and then throw it in the dishwasher. So they're meant to be everyday place settings that will last forever. And it's because Cutco, we haven't changed our handle design since the 1960s. What that means is that 40, 50 years from now, when you're, and this is actually the way I paint the story with my customers. I say, I always ask them, Mrs. Jones, in your family, does anybody have a set of flatware that was inherited? Right? Or did you grow up with an inherited set of flatware? Next question. How often do you guys use those? What's the answer? Never to two times a year is what you're going to get, right? And then you just ask them, why? Because they tarnish, you got to polish them, you got to hand wash them, hand dry them, and now you can finally set the table, right? And so the thing about inheriting a set like that also is that this over here, Mrs. Jones, is a 60-piece set. You're actually getting 60 pieces inside here. But when your great-grandkids get that, it's not going to be a 60-piece set. It's going to be a 47-piece set. Because along the way, you guys are going to lose 2 dinner forks and 3 soup spoons and teaspoons, and you can never find the replacements for other brands. But with Cutco and our consistency, you're going to be able to order just those pieces. And that's another great thing about it, Mrs. Jones, is that you can order these individually. And that's that last point there. So all of that, those points, should take about 2 minutes tops. All right? So write that next to it, 1 to 2 minutes. If you're going longer than that, you're overkilling it. No need. All right, finally, let's get to the price positioning. And what I did is I actually just typed this out for you instead of trying to have you guys take notes on it. So, who wants to be my reader? Yeah? All right. What was your name? Paul.
Have you ever priced this level of quality flour before? I'm sure you get the idea that it's not cheap. I actually did a lot of research when Cutco's Flatware came out and found it's nothing like what you'd find in regular stores, even Macy's. All that stuff is made overseas. Can't stress how important enough it is in today's economy to support American-made, not a foreign country's economy. You'll find this caliber flatware at stores like Williams-Sonoma and Macy's, and they range from $150 to $400 per place setting, and that's for stuff made in Spain, France, Germany, Italy, and even China. Do you know what the most expensive part of making it?
All right, so that blank, what you want to do is you want to use the big local store where you can buy nice stuff. All right, so for some of you, it might be Crate and Barrel. On Island, we have Executive Chef. It's not a national chain, so use one that will click and register with them, right? Now, by the way, like as he was reading that, what I was doing is I was kind of looking around the room just to kind of see people's reactions and what you guys are doing while you're reading this, and to see if it was effective if I had him read it versus me reading it. And that's what you want to be doing as you're presenting this flatware, right? Every question that you do, like when you hand them that piece, you're not just handing them and think about what you're going to say next. You have what you're going to say next internalized. That's on autopilot. What you're doing the second you hand it to them is you're watching every single facial expression, body language, how they react when they hold that, right? Every time you give them a price or anything like that, you're watching for that body language too, right? Brandon gave a great talk about the psychology of selling, and that's all it is. That's why all the top people, some of us, unless if they've typed out scripts like Josh and Curtis have, a lot of the top reps can't rattle off their approach necessarily because it's never the same twice. It's all based on psychology. So get the main points, and then what you say will come out naturally. All right, so Mr. Jones, you know what the most expensive part of making a knife is? The steel. So this knife is $41. Hand him that table knife. Now, can you imagine how much this knife costs as you hand him the stainless steel knife? So even though these are American made, come with a sharp table knife, and are guaranteed forever, because we sell direct, these are only $159 per place setting. Now, if you multiply that by 12 place settings and then add in the price of the cherry chest, you're talking about a set that's worth blank. And the reason I left this blank is because I know that there's lots of different versions of specials that you guys are using. So you definitely want to have special on print while doing this, and we'll talk about that in a second. But whatever your special says, that's the number you're going to plug in right there, right? That full price. So here's the best part. Remember when I told you this is the best deal I've ever seen with Cutco? So right now you get the entire set with 12 place settings. That's 60 pieces for only $16.67. And that's a savings of blank from whatever your normal price is on your specials. And then right there, that's one of those key points where you need to be watching what they're doing. What's their facial expression, their body language doing? What's their reaction to that price point? Yeah, that's huge, right? Do you get the sale catalogs? You know how you'll find pieces for sale in there at like 5 to 9% off? If Cutco customers save 12%, they go bananas, right? Anything double digit. So you're actually saving blank percent, right? Based on whatever numbers you're using. But you're talking like 25, 30% off with our specials that we show, right? So I know, right? That's like getting a Ferrari or a Rolls Royce at like 30% off. Isn't that unreal? So what do you think? And at that point, it's almost like a soft asking for the order. Sometimes people go right there, you know what? Yeah, I mean, I like it. Let's do that. You haven't even told them that price you gave includes the accessories yet. But most of the time, that's going to be kind of a soft close to kind of figure out. It's like a trial question, figure out where they're at, what they're thinking, what questions they might have, right? So that simple question right there is really important. Make sure you don't leave that out. Underline it, circle it, find out where they're at. And then here's the best part. When you place your order for your Forever Flatware today, that actually includes this entire 6-piece serving set as well. Right? That's like the dagger at the end there. And then just ask for the order however you do that. Now, the next little point there is drop down slowly. So most people go straight from that $16.67 to $13.99. But we have an in-between, right? Does anybody else go from $16.67 to $15.34? Yeah, only a few hands going up. Yeah, so make sure that you're only taking one of those the 3-pack sets of the accessories, right, off. And I mean, you're taking off $133 off the price. That's significant, right? So when in that drop-down process. All right, so a couple last tips here. Use special sheets. Use special sheets. And, I haven't seen all the versions of the specials that are out there. And I don't know if Vast Action even has this, but, in the LA division, we have them. I know you have the special, but what I'm about to say is make sure that you also have specials like on 2 chests and 3 chests. Got them? Nice, they have them. So make sure that you have specials with the multiples, the 2, the 3, 4 chests, up to 4 chests even on there. And from there, you can certainly create your own special. So to sell multiple chests, all you have to do is ask. How many of you have ever not asked? Every single one of us, right? And how many of you have asked, and that's all you did, really, and then sold 2 or 3 chests? Isn't that, talk about brain surgeon pay? Because how much time did that take? 5 seconds to earn another $600. Pretty sick. Brain surgeon pay. All right, so here's a little suggestion on how to kind of give some memory joggers for those multiple chests. So, Mr. Jones, being that this flatware will be in your family forever and will be used as everyday place settings as well as when you're entertaining, how many place settings would fit your needs? 12, 24, 36? Do you ever entertain more than 12 people? you ever run out of forks because they're dirty in the sink or in the dishwasher? Now, you don't have to say all of these back to back to back, but use some version of these here. And then the next one is really key. This is where you will sell a lot more add-ons too. Do you have kids that you would consider giving a set like this to over the next 5 to 10 years? Right? That one's big. And also, if you're working on a package, if somebody's kind of like, oh, it's really nice, but our stuff's okay right now, but the kids are moving out in a year or 2 years even, that's where you want to make sure you still ask them and present that special, right? So, okay, Mrs. Jones, let's write up your set, right? You write up the set, and then you go, with what you're already getting, like the more you get, the more leverage I have. If you did get that flatware set right now, I know you wouldn't use it for 2 years, but if you would get that set right now, you'd save a bit more. Do you want me to show you what I could do? Right, and it's very like low key and almost push away, like I don't care, but do you want me to show you? Because I'm offering you a service to save you some more money on something that you're going to buy anyways, right? So making sure that you're asking them over the next, 2-3 years, is it something that you could see yourself doing? All right, so, and then this is a great time to talk about their kids' chests. Michael, stop it. And transition into the family program, right? And if you want to learn about the family program, look up some of the past net talks because Curtis gives great information about that. All right, so to wrap up here, we have a mission. Last year we grew flatware sales by 65%. And last year I gave a cookware talk and we grew that by 85%. And so this year, let's see if we can grow flatware by 100%. Now, all of you are already good at selling flatware, right? Did anybody get at least just one extra nugget out of this that you could use? Okay. So you just have to be intentional about selling flatware, right? 2 years ago, Mike Dowd decided that his focus for that entire year was flatware. He was by far the #1 flatware sales rep. Last year, he shifted his focus to cookware, and by far, so he was number 2 because I do ridiculous things on cookware, but the gap between him and number 3 was huge, like $50,000, $60,000, and it's just because of intention. So I was talking to Curtis last night, and Curtis says, I'm looking forward to your talk because I haven't been selling much flatware. Well, a lot of the stuff that I just talked probably sounds really familiar, Curtis, because I learned it from Curtis, field training, 4 years ago. Okay, little plug for field training. Again, cross training. I flew out to Denver. But it's all about intention, right? He just hasn't been focusing on it. Well, he told me last night, he's like, because flatware is my focus this year. I can almost say with 100% confidence right now, who do you think the #1 flatware rep is going to be this year? It's all about intention. Okay, so let's make that intention. Why? Because it's going to raise your average order. It's going to raise your shift average. It's going to make you more money in the same amount of time or less time. You're going to sell more kitchens. It's going to raise our collective totals, and we're going to get to see Dave get a tattoo. All right.